It has been 2-ish years since the release of this photo book, Nothing Special But Special, by Kang Seulgi. I had been meaning to print out the translations to stick next to the original Korean text in the book, and also to do a little write-up of some sort. So I'm finally done procrastinating. Firstly, I don't know if I'm legally allowed to share the entire photo book, so I won't. I guess maybe I can share some of these pictures, or maybe I can describe them and you just have to imagine them in your head. As for the translations, this is by KSG Updates. But anyway, this is just for fun and a way for me to show my appreciation for Seulgi, Rie, and Ali Cameras for putting this together, and for KSG Updates for the translations. And also to share my love for Seulgi's photographs and for film photography in general. Nothing Special But Special is a photo book by Kang Seulgi, a member of renowned K-pop group Red Velvet. It was released in October of 2024, and at the same time, she held a photo exhibition in Seoul, which was organized or done in collaboration with Ali Cameras. I'm not sure what the correct term is. Alongside SM Entertainment. The photos are taken by Seulgi, while I believe the photos of Seulgi are taken by Rie. Thank you so much, by the way. Seulgi, Rie, and others in their team went on a dedicated trip to Los Angeles, California, to shoot some of the photos for this exhibition. Apart from the LA pictures, the photo book also includes pictures taken by Seulgi in the past from various trips in different places. There are also captions. I don't know what the term is either. In some of the pages where Seulgi shares her thoughts about the photos or about the thoughts she had while taking the photos. So let's go on a ride through Seulgi's photo book. I've gone through the photo book and translations back when I got the book, but I thought going through it again and trying to articulate any sort of coherent thoughts I might have would be fun. I haven't actually owned a photo book before this. They're quite expensive, and I didn't really have a favorite photographer back then, so I wasn't sure what to expect when I got this book. Apart from the photos themselves, I really enjoyed reading the captions and write-ups, but more on that later. Reading it again now, I think I have a better grasp of photography and how I feel about it. So I just wanted to break down my thoughts into thoughts about photographer Kang Seulgi and thoughts about human being Kang Seulgi. So I think we'll go with that. One way I can describe Seulgi's photos would be candid. And I don't just mean the word candid that we throw around a lot that means unposed or natural photos. I do mean candid in the general sense of the word. That is, Seulgi's photos seem very honest, that these are moments and scenes as she sees them. A lot of her photos are, I think, taken from eye level, so it gives you the feeling of stepping into the photographer's shoes and her point of view. There is a kind of simplicity to them. They aren't busy, and often the subjects are very clear. But it also gives you space to look around the scene in the photo. I thought I'd pick out a few of my favorite photos from the collection. Seulgi shares one of her most cherished photos, and one she took early on when she started shooting film. It is a picture of a person fishing by the lake, which she took in Slovenia. This is actually such a beautiful photo. The gradation of the water and sky makes it seem like the scene is kind of split into two worlds. Well, I think if I took a photo like this so early on, it would also trigger me to get into film photography more. In some of the photos, Seulgi is holding a Pentax 17, which is a new half-frame camera. For context, half-frame cameras are great, firstly because they're economical and take twice as many photos on a single roll of film. Secondly, because it introduces a new storytelling tool. Using 2 pictures within the same frame, you were able to make a 2-picture sequence. In this particular set of photos, I thought it was interesting that Seulgi took a photo of the ice cream cone shaded or covered by something, but with harsh lighting behind. In the next photo, Seulgi is holding the ice cream, this time under harsh light, which might actually just be a flash, while the background is under a shade. I think it's very fun and a great use of the half-frame camera. Seulgi likes taking mirror selfies with a film camera. She takes it in such a way that gives context to her surroundings or environment. Maybe you zone in on her face or the camera at first, but your eyes wander to the surroundings after. There's often a sign or other form of context to tell you where she is. Seulgi uses shadows in her photography in quite an interesting way. Oftentimes, shadows are used as a negative space to highlight a subject, but Seulgi uses shadows as the subject, the main point of the photograph. I like this photo in particular for some reason. On a sunny afternoon, the tree's shadow is the main subject, but there is that small shrub of some sort that kind of looks like it's a baby tree. I honestly can't tell if it's a plant. Let's just imagine it is. And in this photo, it looks like the shadows on a door are a painting on canvas. I think Seulgi uses a fair mix of close-up and wide shots. Of course, through the use of different cameras or lenses, you're able to play with how you frame a scene. But I think I do enjoy her pictures that are more focused on the details. Particularly, I do enjoy this set of photos of someone's hands washing some raspberries, and then of them pouring orange juice. Sometimes we're afraid of using flash because it looks really harsh, but I think the flash here gives it enough of a spotlight while also remaining a bit soft. So those are my thoughts. I always find it interesting to sort of dive into someone's style of photography. It's a great learning experience, and it also gives insights into someone's thought processes and worldview. The only thing I would have wanted to know though is what cameras they were using and what film stocks they used. One of my favorite excerpts from the book is actually in the beginning, where she describes how she has been in front of the camera throughout her career as a celebrity, and the stark difference of being behind the camera. When I stand behind the camera, I become quiet. I love the time I spend discovering the hidden beauty of everyday life and capturing it on film. When you hold the camera up to your eye, it feels as if the world is different. You see it through the viewfinder, and this moment that's playing out in front of you becomes a scene. Hitting that shutter release captures this slice of time, a moment frozen that will never repeat itself again. You come to realize the beauty in the everyday, in the passage of time, in the mundanity. I think many of us shooting film are a bit odd. Because of the conveniences of technology, wouldn't it be much easier to shoot digital? Would you shoot film? Film is imperfect, unpredictable, and perhaps volatile. It takes time to shoot, and it takes even longer to see how the pictures turn out. But I think those are the very reasons people shoot film. There's also this photo Rie took of Seulgi with some motion blur as she's running on a track labeled number 2. Rie asks her why she's not on track number 1, and Seulgi replies, "It's just that I don't think everyone has to live for number 1." And that's something so nice to hear. I think we spend most of our lives being told that we should strive to be the best or to aim higher. And it's all well and good for some, but I do think you shouldn't be losing yourself in the process of obtaining a goal that you might not actually want. In this section, Seulgi describes how the theme of the exhibition and photo book came to be, when they were just kind of going about their days in LA at the time. In the page with this excerpt is a blurry picture of Seulgi, perhaps making coffee on the kitchen counter. And maybe I'm just giving a reason for it, but the blur almost makes it feel like a dream. Not quite clear, and a little nostalgic. It kind of makes you wonder if it's real, or a memory you made up. I realized that it was not special because it was special, but because it was true to the moment, and that it became special because I took a deep look with all my heart. I don't think we are always as introspective as this, or that we are always appreciating a moment. Oftentimes we're just existing in it, going on about our days without much thought. Our days feel automatic. We take for granted a lot of everyday beauty, like flowers outside, or the sunset, or the company of our loved ones. But every now and then, I do find it important to pause and appreciate the day, and to not just exist in the moment, but to live in it as well. Film makes us more observant, and I don't just mean that photographers are always looking for details or composing a scene in their heads. I think film rewires our brains to look at the moment and think how beautiful this is, regardless of being able to capture it or not. And actually, capturing it is a choice, a decision you make to pick up a camera and hit the shutter button. In another section, Seulgi talks about how shadows come into play with her photography. Specifically, it brings her back to her childhood. It reminds her how, back then, she was curious about everything and how the world was so different and interesting, and she wonders if she has become stiff without realizing it. When you focus on the small things, you see the big things anew. You discover beauty. Inevitably, the people I love come to mind. Look here, there's beauty. It must be exhausting and tiring, but don't forget. As we grow up and in the process of becoming an adult, it feels like we lose sight of things. We even lose a bit of ourselves. On the one hand, we also gain new experiences and perspectives. But I feel like the older we get, or at least at the age where I'm at, we tend to go back to the things that piqued our interest as children. Like how we go back to our old hobbies or rewatch old shows or movies. And you can say, I feel like a kid again. And it's so important for me to be able to do things that make us feel like kids again. To experience the kind of joy we once felt as curious, innocent children. Anyway, those are my thoughts and feelings about Seulgi's first photo book, Nothing Special But Special. I think about this one time one of my friends said, "You really have an eye for photography." And I wasn't sure how to take that because I thought, well, anyone can take a photograph. But looking at Seulgi's works, I find myself saying the same thing. She really has an eye for photography. She also writes beautifully, much like her photos. The written sections of her book are honest, candid, and dreamy. It feels like looking through a Seulgi-shaped filter. I take it KSG Updates translates with Seulgi in mind and how she might convey these thoughts. So thank you so much for that. It was a very enjoyable journey to go through Seulgi's works. Hopefully she'll release another photo book and another exhibition soon, and hopefully I can go next time. Well, I still think I'm quite a lucky girl to own a copy of this photo book. Shout out to my friend for getting it for me. It was nice getting to know human being Kang Seulgi a little more. Thank you for watching.